Hello and welcome to Beyond the Words. My name is Bruno Combar. Today, my guest is a bit of an all-rounder. She's a self-confessed T-shaped marketer, an international speaker, a podcaster, and a LinkedIn top voice. Now, today, she runs global growth marketing at Whatfix. Tamanna, Chanana, welcome to Beyond the Words Marketing Edition.
Thank you so much, Bruno. It's truly a pleasure to have you for your podcast, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
And so am I. As I said in my intro, you call yourself a T-shaped marketer. Now,
Yes.
for those listeners who are not familiar with the concept, can you please explain?
Definitely. This is something everyone asks me, and this is a buzzword if you want to be in marketing. So, if you Google it, what is a T-shaped marketer? It's basically that you have in-depth knowledge about each and every concept or a generic knowledge about different products, different ways of marketing. But you have a core in one particular thing. For me, it's content. So content has been driving me. So all the things that you see on my profile, it's because of the content that I built. So it's quite relatable to people, and that's what marketers should do. So yeah, that's what a T-shaped marketer is.
Yes. So that's, as I said in my intro, you're a bit of an all-rounder. So if I took I'm taking a risk here as a Frenchman who doesn't know much about cricket. You'd be a great fielder and a great batsman or batswoman.
I think being an Indian, yes, I'll say we are all diehard fans of cricket and especially T20. And I'm also a big fan of cricket and all these series. And definitely you can consider me and take an example of that. That's how my boss also considers me, that whatever you have to give me, I'll make sure it's that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You were recently named a LinkedIn top voice.
Yes.
First of all, congratulations. And can you tell us exactly what that entails and perhaps how you reached that status?
Bruno, it's a long journey, to be honest. Everyone aspires to be an influencer in one particular domain, right? But people tend to forget that there's a lot of hard work that goes around. So for me, it was like 5 years. I used to write about different brands, different marketing strategies. What are the new demand gen channel? What are the new tactics different brands are doing? So I've been doing that for last 5 years. Every week there was always one post which was about something cool that I saw, even if when I was in India, even if I'm in UK. So you'll always find those fascinating campaigns, and it's my opinion that I share. And I usually have a great engagement where people come and share their experiences, or they'll write to me that I really want to do this. And fortunately or unfortunately, I've landed some freelancer gigs as well. So yes, definitely that's a win-win for both me and LinkedIn. And definitely, I give a lot of gratitude to LinkedIn for giving me that top voice patch. And definitely, as a marketer, I believe it's important that you have to market yourself first, and then only you'll be able to market others. So
Yeah.
that's my mantra. Rest, it's up to people how they want to live and lead their life.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson here that you also cultivating your personal brand,
Yep.
which as consequence or benefit, it trickles down to everything else you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So that's a lot of commitment, as
Yep.
you said, and also a lot of interaction, because all your posts as well, you need to take the time to interact, I suppose, and that's how LinkedIn reward that too.
Exactly. So basically, you have to be active. For example, if you take some influencers on Instagram, that is usually a buzzword these days. People give them that kind of recognition. The whole idea behind that is how much and how can you actually contribute to that entire niche. Okay. For example, you have a particular niche. For me, it's marketing, and the way you want to position yourself, either you can be a thought leader or a gyan guru. All right, where what exactly I mean by gyan guru is that you are taking some information from others and you are sharing the same thing.
Okay.
Otherwise, as a thought leader, you are presenting yourself and you are sharing your perspective. So you
Yeah.
have to understand which way you want to go. Either
Okay.
it's trend line or it's knowledge line. So
Okay.
there's a thin line between both of them. So you have to understand the right mechanism and the right way to position yourself. And if you really want to be there and build a personal brand for yourself, you have to literally have a clarity of thought and plus
Okay.
engagement with your audience as well. So definitely it requires a lot of due diligence, vice versa, but it happens with time when you actually feel and being recognized by those platforms as well.
Yeah, and I suppose in that positioning as well, you find your feet as well after a while. I suppose at the beginning it's probably a bit difficult
Yes.
to have that positioning, and then
Yeah.
little by little you sort of build your own corner.
Yes, yes. In fact, I'll tell you, there was a time I was not posting for 6 months. There was some medical emergency at my home, and I was quite caught up. And imagine I used to get almost 10, 20 messages every day where people were like, "We used to read your post, please post
Oh
something
wow.
here, literally." And then I realized, no, there's a lot of value that you are giving. It's important that you go back and do it again.
Wow, that is great. You know, when people are demanding, that's really an achievement in itself, especially in a world where there's so much content that you can have access to. So you're a big fan of LinkedIn, it's fair to say. And I read one of your posts from just a couple of days ago where you said that, and I quote, "Without LinkedIn, I wouldn't be where I am today." So how has LinkedIn changed your life?
Definitely, there's one hero platform that you get, right? I might not be a master of uh, Instagram and might not be a master of YouTube or Google. But one thing, if I search my name, the first thing that comes in the Google search history is LinkedIn. Okay. So definitely it has given me a lot of visibility from their point of view as well. And definitely getting this LinkedIn top voice also means a lot to the world. Whenever someone or even a recruiter reaches out to me, they feel overwhelmed that at least I have achieved something from that point of view. So definitely without LinkedIn, I wouldn't have been what I am today because I used to share my thought process and they are quite humble enough in engaging with my post as well. So it's a two-way relationship. Like when we join a company, right? Until and unless that company gives me back or they respects me or they value my work, I won't stay in an organization like that because working day in day out without reward and without appreciations, it doesn't match. Right, we are humans. We are not
Mm.
AI or robots. So definitely it's a give and take relationship in any relationship that we are.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn has been super supportive. Anytime I reach out to them that I need some support from you guys on certain things, they are quite proactive in all of that. Plus, one thing I believe, being a platform and being a B2B marketer, for me, it was important to build a credibility in one particular platform. And I feel Instagram and all these platforms are quite cluttered. But LinkedIn is something which has started turning into that thing. But I think they are already taking some precautionary measures where they're like, no, let's do something. So
Mhm.
definitely, it's not always about engagement on your post or the number of people who are engaging, but it also matters the quality of content. So
Mhm.
the first time I was included in this top voice community thing, one of the guys from LinkedIn told me that your quality of content is much better than the people I've interacted. And that happened 2 years back. And now to this year, I got this top voice. So
Mhm.
definitely, if someone is recognizing you for the quality of the content that you are putting, it doesn't matter what is the engagement that you're getting on those posts. What matters is that platform really seeing value, and that's why you're being placed in those community conversations as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's always a give and take relationship, like I said,
Yeah.
and LinkedIn has been super supportive in all those things.
Well, definitely a win-win situation there. And you now run global growth marketing at Wordfix. Now it's a leading digital adoption platform.
Yeah.
Um, So, as an all-rounder, can you tell us what the secret sauce is to successful growth marketing globally? And I assume, like every marketer, on a budget.
Definitely. That's my job, as a remote marketer, finding solutions at lowest budget and
Yeah,
zero budget sometimes. So
yeah.
yes, that is something I really appreciate from Whatfix point of view as well, because they give you that kind of visibility. They always give you that kind of liberty to play around with multiple tactics, multiple budgets. So for me, the growth mantra over here is that we plug and play from a sales funnel point of view.
Mhm.
It's not specific that we will only reach out to the bottom of the funnel kind of people, or top of the funnel. We plug and play in each and every domain. So I currently take care of four major projects in Whatfits, and all of them have been divided into different sales funnel. Okay. And one thing that I believe from a global point of view, engage people in different ways and they will reward you, because it's
Mhm.
more to do with the relationship building thing rather than just being there and just getting all the money, and only money conversations never happen and never support. So if you, I'll just give you a quick example here. One of the lady I recently met. Okay, the last she was hosting me for a couple of days, and I was not able to get in touch with her to be on the podcast that I run for Whatfix. It's called the Digital Adoption Show. Okay, and where we bring in HR, L&D leaders, and this lady is from quite senior profile and all. I met her a few months back, and I told her that, hey, I really want you to be on the guest list, and it would be an honor for us. uh, I followed up quite at some time, and then I realized that she's not engaging enough, and maybe she's busy, because then I realized she was transitioning into a new role. Then I was like, let it be.
Mhm.
So I met her the next time. Next time I was sitting on the booth, she came to me that now I have transitioned into a new role. I want you to do this podcast with me now. So that is the power of
Okay.
relationship building. All right. So
Yeah.
first time it was me pitching to her. The second time it was she reached out to me saying the same thing, because of the
Mhm.
relationship and the way I connected with her in the first conversation. So
Mhm.
it's more to do with the relations that you build from on a global level. And once you do that, even if it's anyone from US, UK, EMEA, India, APAC, any region, the first key, even when we were at kids, one thing that our teachers used to teach us was learn to be empathetic. So I think
Mhm.
that's the right key from a marketing
Mhm.
point of view. Also, treat people as people, not as
Yeah.
AI or
It, it
just business machines.
It's so funny because one of our previous guests on this podcast said when we were talking about B2B marketing, she said, "Well, we call it human to human marketing, so H2H, because that's what business to business is. We don't look at businesses, but we look at the people behind it. And from what you're saying, relationship building is very important. And you're right. We're dealing with humans, and sometimes we tend to forget it a bit too much with AI and all these things. And also at a high level as well, I suppose ABM must be playing a role then if you're talking about personalized relationship.
Right. So definitely ABM, if you just go ahead and search this term, it means
Mm-hmm.
account-based marketing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What ABM can do, it can do wonders. From a paid channel to a growth marketing channel to a performance channel, it can do really good wonders. The best thing to do this is create a list of the top accounts that you want to tap, either month wise or quarterly, if you want to plug and play, and build relations with them, either
Mm.
through events or through field marketing initiatives, or you can get them on your flagship events as a speaker. Give them value and they'll give you value. As
Mm.
simple. Okay. It's nothing to do with that I want them to be able to see my ads all the time, or they should always be on their top of the mind that, hey, we are doing. But once you learn to give them value without expecting anything in return, they'll make sure that they give you that kind of value. That's the new marketing era. It's
Yeah.
nothing to do with the channels that you're doing. But your entire channel, like I said, in T-shaped, it's always about driving and experimenting with different channels at every stages of your sales funnel. But you have to understand that to do that, you have to build relationships at every level. And
Yeah.
once you do that, ABM is a ball game. And
Yeah.
for me, I think for last 2 years, we have influenced a lot of good revenue because of ABM. I won't be able to give you the numbers, but
Mhm.
yes, it is quite a game changer when it comes to
Yeah.
relationship and ABM.
Yeah. And well, you were talking about content and about building relationship and adding and giving value
Yeah.
to your audience. I like that idea, and then brings me to a question that about something that stood out for me is the podcast that you're doing, and you've mentioned it briefly now, the Digital Adoption Show.
Yes.
I suppose doing a podcast as well as a marketing tool is about giving value in terms of content
Yes.
marketing. Can you tell us a bit more about how you're using this podcast and the story of the podcast, maybe how it came to life?
Definitely. So, just for your audience, we are actually doing a fireside chat on 30th September with the entire podcast crew. So, you can definitely have a conversation there, and please look around for that on Vortex page. Apart from that, let me just explain you how this entire thing happened. So, when I joined Vortex, there was no rule. It was skill-based hiring that happened. Okay. So there was a social media role. I filled in that entire form, and my boss was really impressed. He was like, we were really looking for someone who has that kind of clarity about marketing and each and every aspect. I said, but I am not interested in a social media role. I'm sorry. I already have 5 years of experience, and what I'm looking for next is a innovation or a content focused role. So then he created this role for me. So I joined Vortex as a growth marketing manager, and there were no KRAs initially. I built those KRAs with my manager myself. I told him, let's start and dig deeper into podcast. This was something very new to me. I had no idea what podcast can do. Okay. So we started initially with once a month. And I think it was pretty good because we were trying to get all the top names from the industry and what kind of value they have given in the L&D space. So the podcast is very much focused towards HR, L&D, digital transformation, and digital adoption experts. These are the people who have actually brought a change in this entire portfolio of L&D. So the thought process of brand awareness has now turned into a lead gen machine for us. So it is a vicious circle that we were thinking about when we started this off. And now I see that it has been growing. And we have somewhere around 30K plays. And imagine in a span of 4 years, this is the fourth season we are doing. Now it is a weekly podcast. So it is more of like my brainchild. And I'm pretty proud of the moment from a brand awareness to a lead gen podcast. I'm really thankful to my managers as well because it is a long journey and they trusted us throughout the process. Even if when we said that maybe there would be a day that nothing is happening, but because of the people and our audience, the way they were engaging with our content, we were like, yes, this is going in the right direction. Let's do it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it was an amazing experience for all of us. And I believe that there's a lot of value. And I'm glad we got to connect with so many people across the world from US, UK, EMEA, and from brands like Kellogg's, uh, what do you say, Kellogg's, Saint Gobain, and all these top people. And I believe, and especially from Philips as well. So I have some of these speakers who are just amazing, and I'm glad that I got a chance to work with them.
Wow, this is definitely a success story when you think about something that starts as a brand awareness and ends up generating so many leads, which at the end of the day, that's the name of the game, and
Yeah,
and 35,000 is a lot in something that's very niche on a crowded market as well.
yeah,
So yeah, definitely. I'll take a few leaves from your book about how we can promote our own podcast. And well,
Definitely.
yeah, this is great. And we'll come back to your own podcast later. What I wanted to ask you as well is because at the end of the day, this is a podcast for multilingual
Yes.
communications specialists, and I wanted to understand the role of localization, content localization in
Mhm.
your growth marketing strategy, because you've got a global road, so presumably you don't just
Right.
communicate in English.
So yeah, definitely. So definitely, podcast has been majorly focused towards English speaking audience.
Mm,
But what we have started doing, we have started creating short form content in different languages. So
mm,
we translate that entire video into French, into German, for our audience, so that at least they can understand the entire thing. Because we don't want to always sound like that we are very biased towards one particular language.
yeah.
We definitely do that. And whenever our sales team or anyone who's reaching out, they usually use those snippets for that particular local market. So that is one of the things that we have started doing. The podcast is something that we were thinking of translating into different languages
Mhm.
for our audience as well. But now we are planning to do a specific series for that particular audience, so that they understand that entire thing rather than
Wow.
creating the entire thing. Because right now there are people who understand English better, so it's better to have a specific series just for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Do you have like you know a specific globalization strategy, like language per language, or even like region per region, or is it more like ad hoc, like, oh, there's an event in Germany, we need some content here, or
So initially, we never thought about something like that. But once our audience demanded that let's have some local content as well, because some of them really didn't had any idea about English. So we started creating. No, so right now this entire we have divided it into three major geographies, like
Mhm.
US, EMEA, and APAC. So based on the content requirements from each of these regions, we create it.
Yeah.
There's no specific plan of action where we are doing it, but maybe in the longer run we will definitely do that.
Yeah, so that's definitely something in the making there, I suppose, with the international development of what fix as well, and what you will achieve globally. I'm sure that the needs will grow.
Yes, definitely. It's an ongoing thing, you know that, right? When
Absolutely.
the demand increases and your requirement as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, going back to podcasts, you obviously a big fan of the Medium podcast. You came up with the idea of the digital adoption show, and you have your own podcast as well
Yeah.
about branding and all things marketing, more or less,
Yeah.
which is called Brand Talkies, aka the BT show. So BT, not for British Telecom, but for Brand Talkies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk to like guests from and big names. I
Yeah.
saw on your channel like Netflix and Nestle, and so that's obviously a passion project. And can you tell us a bit more about that?
This is a long story short. Last year, I was hiring for my team, and I think I interviewed somewhere around 493 people. And that time, I realized people had no idea what marketing is. I was like, oh God, people really need that kind of clarity from these thought leaders. And my partner was quite pushy that you have been doing so much for everyone in the industry. You have been a speaker, you have done so much. Why not do something for yourself? So that time I realized this is a high time and let's do something good. Okay. So we took a month to decide this entire thing. And there we were, I had some connections from my previous previous organization. I spoke to these people that would you be interested in something like this, and everyone was like, "Voila, why not?" So even I was quite fascinated, and when I talk to these people, it's more of like my own learning experience, because different industries have different ways of pitching products, different thought process for their customers, consumers. I have met people from India, Switzerland, UK, US, and the amount of energy these guys bring on the table, plus the knowledge of expertise they have. from Netflix to Canon um, to I don't know, a Kit Kat to whatsoever.
Yeah.
They have actually built an incredible product. So I think there should be someone who should actually bring their voice out, that how they actually build these brands and what kind of thought process they had while they started and they built this entire thing. So yeah.
So your audience will learn a lot, and you personally will learn a lot in the process too by getting all these tips and tricks from the best professionals out there. Um,
Yeah.
um, I think with everything you do already professionally, plus your own podcast, we probably will have to do an extra session on time management, how you manage to fit that all in. But maybe we'll keep that for another one.
Yes, yes, definitely. I'm all in for these conversations. I think there are a couple of them already aligned for next 2 weeks as well. So you can anyway reach out to me for sure.
Wonderful. And my final question for you, Tamanna,
Yeah.
and it's one we ask all our guests. As I said, it's a podcast about languages and multilingual communications. Now, if you were to learn a new language that you don't currently speak, which one would it be and why?
I'm quite fond of French, to be honest. I don't know why,
Oh,
but
I love French too.
being from Europe, or is it something else for you, Bruno?
Well,
So,
as a native French speaker, that's
yeah.
that's definitely I wouldn't say my favorite language, but I love people who love my language.
I agree. But I love to learn about different languages. So
Hmm.
you'll always find me. This is what I've done in last 2 years in UK as well. I've been to every town possible. I've seen that there are new culture, new ways. Even the door colors will be different at different places, or maybe the numbers will be same, but the door colors actually define your house number. So that is something I'm quite fascinated with. And for France, obviously, there's a lot of influence that has come from Emily in Paris, and and the way she learns French, I'm like, no, oh God, I really want to do it for her now.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny. My daughter, I can't watch Emily in Paris. I think like for French people, it's quite excruciating. But I know my daughters love it, and they watched the latest series, which featured Brigitte Macron. I think
Yeah, yeah,
I was told. Yeah, so a very successful series, obviously.
yeah.
And yeah, so French. You're the first person who came up with French in the whole series. So yeah, thank you very much for putting French in the frame. Well, Tamanna, thank you so much for your time, and I will put all the references to your many podcasts and other things and your profile in the show notes. It would be great to have another chat as well in another season of our podcast, because there's so many more questions that I wanted to ask you, but I know we've only got limited time. So thank you very much, Tamanna, and speak to you soon.
Speak soon, Bruno. Thank you for having me on the show.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.